Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check it out. We're going to talk about this today. Why XRP? We've seen so many other coins go to the moon, as they say. Let's get the latest on what's going on with the court case and then hear from each and every one of you about why you're here, how you got here, what keeps you here. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives at the top of the screen, and everything that we're talking about here today. It's $1.886 trillion market cap for crypto. A lot of money missing from this space. We know that much. 3 trillion plus is really the all-time high for the cryptocurrency market cap. It is April 17, 2022. Good morning and happy Easter for those who celebrate it. Right now, we are up by 0.25% this morning on the market, and we see Bitcoin 40,300 plus, Ethereum 3,000 just slightly over, and we see XRP at the number 6 spot at 77 cents. Right now, let's look at the range of price very quickly here. We're ranging between 78 cents on the bottom and 80 cents on the top. It's actually a tight trading range right now on that. We'll keep an eye on it. Ladies and gentlemen, I trust capital. The only thing better than buying crypto is buying tax-free crypto. Don't believe me? Check them out. It's the best IRA platform in the U.S. Roth, SEP, traditional IRA, plus 25 different cryptocurrencies you can invest in. Best-in-class security, no monthly fee. You can get started with the link underneath the video. Check them out. Take a look at this really quickly, just to tighten up. There's been a flurry of news when it comes to the SEC versus Ripple case. Just want to set the record straight for where we are with the ultimate clarity here. Judge denied the request from the SEC on the DPP and forced him to produce the Hinman speech. However, we know that very quickly the SEC has requested for an extension of time to file its objection from Judge Netburn's ruling to Judge Torres's ruling on denying their motion for DPP, the deliberative process privilege, right? Trying to hide the information that's in the emails. Now, according to Jeremy Hogan here and other legal analysts here, the SEC has set itself up for a catastrophe in the lawsuit against Ripple. And just to highlight what he had said here is that the SEC made a big mistake because it had been arguing that Hinman's speech was personal opinion, and then for some unknown reason in this motion, it changed that position. As stated in the court filing, based on its review of the documents, the court granted defendants' motion to compel production. The SEC's assertion that the Hinman speech was intended to communicate corporate finance's approach to regulating digital asset offerings is inconsistent with the SEC Hinman's previous position that the speech was intended and did reflect his personal views. Remember, the SEC even had William Hinman sign affidavits claiming it was his personal opinion. That's how strongly they fought that argument in the early part of this case. According to Hogan, the shift in the SEC stance could boost Ripple's fair notice defense, in which the company argues that the regulator failed to provide fair notice that it was violating the law. Now, remember about the fair notice defense, that really doesn't help Ripple unless XRP is found to be a security. And in that case, that would mean that Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, and Chris Larson, and no one else would be exonerated from being barred in the industry, or fined for that matter. But it does not apply to any of us retail investors, so keep that in mind. If the SEC can't even get it straight whether the speech was his personal opinion, perhaps the entire division's guidance, and they can't even get it straight in a legal pleading with lots of forethought put into it, how the heck was Ripple supposed to know? And that is a great argument on that front. Now, we've been in this case for over 400 plus days. Shout out to ProCoin News for keeping a track on the American crypto innovation under siege there. If you're not following ProCoin News, you should do so. But I want to show you this because it's been even longer for the most patient investors in history, as Nick Burafedo, Mr. B XRP says here. He shares XRP whale tweet, which says it has been 1,563 days since XRP's all-time high. That's a long time ago, ladies and gentlemen. That is a long time ago. I tell you, I got in this space in 2017, just months before that all-time happened, and I did FOMO up the ladder, and then I bought that bear market for the next 4 years, didn't I? You better believe that I did, and I still do when I can. But let's take a look at this. I posted this just a couple days ago because I was feeling much the same sentiment, that we have been in this spot for a long time. And not only have we been in 1,500 plus days of a down market, but for 400 of those days, plus of those days, 440 or 460 plus days, however long it's been now, we've also been on this case being sued by the SEC as well. Now, I have said many times, just very quickly here, I believe that this case was, as John Deaton said, used as a weapon. And in fact, through regulatory capture of the SEC, I believe that the people behind the Ethereum consensus and the EEA used their power and their connections at the SEC, I believe, to try to create a monopoly for Ethereum, because they have launched billions of dollars worth of projects off of Ethereum under the guise of William Hinman and the corporate finance division of the SEC giving them a free pass. Now, understanding that that assembly line has been launched, and it is still to this day, feel like to developers and startup companies and people that are starting projects, they're like, oh, I'm going to launch on that because it was given, it was given clarity, when in fact it really has not, right? So in this particular instance about the case, there are a couple things that stand out for me, because I do believe it was used as a weapon in its origination, but I have to also say, I really actually believe it is actually also, because there's many different levels of perception here, I also believe that it is the real application of the Reeves test. There's the Howey test, and then there's the Reeves test, when something is a note. And then there are some bullet points that you can go down, some tenets that were really determined through a family resemblance test through Thurgood Marshall a few decades ago, as they say. And basically that could determine whether this note, XRP, is in fact a security or a non-security. We'll have to see how all of this shakes out once this case finally does end. But there's another lawyer I talked to who wishes to remain nameless, and an extremely, extremely knowledgeable on what's happening in this case, believes that we could see this drag out to the end of the year or possibly even into early next year. Now, I don't like the sound of that. Personally, I'd like to see this over Tuesday. I don't know that that's going to happen, right? But what I do know is that if somebody in the space is is very versed with, federal law, regulatory issues and things of that nature, and they're giving me that kind of sign that this is what they think is going to happen, and what have we seen as this case has unfolded? Delay, delay, delay. Everything the SEC can do is to just drag this out and harm Ripple and harm the XRP holders in the retail space, which is you and I. So I'm going to put in my mind early next year as a timeline for when this case could end. And if it ends any sooner, it'll be a blessing, right? And that's how I choose to look at that. But let's look at this, because I said, so while we're waiting for XRP to go to the crypto moon, as they say, what has been the one thing that has kept you in your position this entire time? I'll go first. It was the 2017 Ripple Insights, where the Federal Reserve Task Force cited that Ripple improves the speed and transparency of global payments in 2017. And that really has always been the core piece. When I found that in the first few days of investigating XRP, it changed everything for me. And since then, everything else that has been found comes from that moment for me. But let's look down through here, because you guys have put some amazing, amazing stuff. And I just want to show a few things here. And one is the meeting here that was like all the finance top bankers. You can see Christine Lagarde and many, many other people from the top central banking world. She was the IMF managing director at that time, right? And we see Brad Garlinghouse sitting there talking to him. Nobody from Bitcoin, Nobody from Ethereum. Brad Garlinghouse. Another very, very compelling piece of information, right? And then there was this, remember this? This was the consulting, I'm not going to play it here, but this was the consulting work that was done by NTT and DTA, I believe it was, or whatever it was, NTT Data. But this showed a diagram of the central banking system with Ripple in the middle of it. Matter of fact, let me pull that up just so you can see that image if you haven't seen it. 1 second. Here it is right here, and this was originally from Love from Crypto. Shout out to Kurt. Hope you and your family are well, and hope Scott's doing well too, by the way. And this diagram is where I first saw it, and it shows XRP Ledger sitting between the entire payment system and how all of this would work. And you see all the other different platforms and projects there, but the larger payment system for the financial world as it is today, with the XRP Ledger sitting right smack dab in the middle of it all. That's how I understand it to be. And truthfully, as we've moved forward all this time, all these years later, it looks like exactly the way they've been building and laying it out. It really, really does to me. So now let's take a look at this. I want to show you this as well. Maybe you'll remember this. 2017, when American Express actually joined on and Santander teamed up with Ripple for cross-border payments. That was a big one. Might want to remember that one. Right? And then I don't know if you guys remember it, but Michael McDaniel back in the day from the Investment Perspectives Telegram group, because that was the name of the show before we rebranded, and he had discovered the Bank of America patent that had Ripple in it, in the patent itself, and then a day or two later, it actually blew up so hard that Brad Garlinghouse went on Bloomberg and then said, I cannot either confirm nor deny the rumors with Bank of America, regardless of the information in the patent. More compelling information right there. There's been so many things, and I'm just touching on a few of them, right? So now check this out. Again, most of us has been in this space. We remember this picture, the IMF picture. There's old Brad Garlinghouse. Christine Lagarde at the time was the IMF managing director there. I mean, this stuff is just absolutely mind-blowing to me. When I went back, and you guys are so knowledgeable, and shout out to Eric Naylor for this. He's been in this space a long time too. Great guy. And there's so many people. You know, that's another thing too. You know, the investors in this space are some of the smartest people I've ever come across in my entire life. That is not hype. That is not placation. I tell you, I am always blown away by the depth of information that all of you have, the knowledge you have, and the tenacity to dig for more and more and more. It really does take a village, and there's been so much that's kicked up. We can only highlight a few things here today. Then XRP Crypto Quebec takes us right to the heart of it. And he basically just shows us a giant picture of all the board of directors and advisors and things of that nature. And that brings us current to today, right? So not only do we have Sandy O'Connor here and Rosie Rios, 43rd Treasurer of the U.S. I mean, this is mind-blowing, right? Craig Phillips from the U.S. Treasury. There's so many people that are advisors or board members that have come from the U.S. Treasury. I've always believed that that is pointed to where we're ultimately going to end up and why it's taken so long. And, you know, of recent, it brings us to current news just a couple days ago. Michael S. Barr, who was a Ripple advisor in 2015, came from the U.S. Treasury. And where is he now? Well, when the Biden administration first won the presidency and moved in, they tried to appoint him to the OCC, Brian Brooks' former seat at the Office of Comptroller of Currency. He didn't get that seat, but now he's being nominated for a senior vice chair for the Federal Reserve, and he can help to regulate cryptocurrencies and stablecoins in that position if he is confirmed. Right now he's been nominated, but think of this for a moment. A former Ripple advisor actually getting confirmed for that position for which he can help to craft regulations. This all feels like, you know, the hard work has been paying off, the building within the system, a revolution comes from within, and seeing all of those efforts of bringing in the right people for all of these years and working on the long ball, building the market infrastructure. So as it comes time for all of these entities in the financial system to transition to the new system that I believe Ripple and even Stellar have been building, and I'm sure some others as well, it seems so fitting to have somebody like Michael S. Barr nominated to serve in that role. Now, this is just some of what has kept us all moving and just kept us all accumulating and holding on to our bags or whatever your position is and not getting rid of your stuff. And it's not financial advice. I'm impressed because I get messages every day from people who are like, I'm not selling, I'm not giving up. And you know what? I'm not either. And if you do, I understand. I hope that you don't have to, but everyone has to make a personal decision for themselves and their family. And only you can do that. Only you can do that. And not everybody's cut out for being really high risk, right? So I understand that as well. But if you have held on, kudos to you. I do feel like, however it goes, end of year, sometime before the end of the year, or even early next year, however long the SEC wants to play this out, they can only take it so far. Because what we're watching in the conventional economy and the conventional markets, it is playing out horribly. And we know the reason it is playing out horribly is because of all the things we've been through collectively on this planet in the last few years. It has been building to a moment of break. There will be a pay the piper moment for printing more than half of the money in the last 24 months that is floating around this earth. It's unbelievable. There has to be a day of reckoning, because if there's an up, there's a down. And when the down comes, I believe that this entire system and XRP is designed to be the phoenix that rises from the ashes to bring us all back to where we need to be. Not financial advice from me or anyone else, but when this bull run does come, I believe Mr. Whale's got it right here. The next XRP alt season will be insane. I dare to guess what it could actually be, but I tell you what, I know one thing for sure. I'll be here when it happens, and I hope you will too. Again, not financial advice from me or anyone else. Leave a comment below. I'm excited to see what's kept you here. Why XRP? I'll catch all of you on the next one.